After
It says about imitation, meter, music,
meter,
and
then
that is
rhythm,
rhythm.
then
These four things he focused.
why he has focused this four? Why he has focused this four? Can this? Okay. In the last class we have mentioned that the Poetics consists of 26 chapters, and in a major way we can divide it into three groups. Very first few chapters indicates of what? Concept of poetry. At the same time, it's also the counter attack of Plato's concept of poetry. I mean, it's contradiction between the Aristotle's and Plato's concept on regarding the poetry. Later part, concept of tragedy, and the third one is what? Epic poetry and difference between tragedy and epic. But later on we have known that it is actually divided into many other portions as well. We are not going here today. Today we'll start with very few chapters. First of all, the first chapters is called the what? Media of poetic imitation. Media of poetic imitation. In our society, you have seen that now I'm exchanging some words, some ideas with you through a medium. Okay? What is the media? A medium of the class here. It's actually that medium is what? English. So English is a medium. Or how I can transmit or transform my ideas to you. There are some other media. What are that? One is the slide share projector, my lecture, the books, the materials, or the something else. These are the medium. Similarly, to form the literature, you need some medium. As you have already mentioned that. So medium means of what? In which way? What? You are going to use to carry your messages. Okay? Carry your messages. Sometimes what you are doing that, we are speaking, it is one of the medium. Medium. Another is of what? Sometimes we are writing something else. It means of what? Here writing is another. Medium. And sometimes what? We are showing some what? Poster, picture. These are also another medium. Similarly, in poetry, we need some other as well. Got my point?
Yes.
Okay. So let us to the book. The medium of the poetic imitation. Poetic imitation, why imitation? At the very beginning or yesterday we have already mentioned that actually poetry is a representation or the imitation of something else. Everything is imitation. And Plato mentioned that it is imitation of imitation. Okay? That's why he has also appreciated and admired and admitted that poetry is nothing but the imitation. That's why he is called it poetic imitation. Obviously it's an imitation, representation. Some artists, whether by theoretical knowledge or by long practice, can represent things by imitating their shapes and colors, and others do so by use of the voice. So you have seen that I have already mentioned. Long practice can represent things by imitating their shapes. Imitating their shapes. For example, if I tell that, if you are a tailor or you are a fashion designer, what you are doing that? There is a boy, there is a girl. He's just think that, oh, this is a bulky boy or the bulky girl, so my short dress will be longer one or the what? Thicker one, etc., etc. Or you can see that of what? As an architect, what you are doing that? You have a concept. You have a concept. So after the concept, you are thinking that, oh, this house is like that. So it means it's a concept of house. So I can also build up this way the house. Yeah? I mean what? It's a rope. It's a tin shed. It's a rope. It means of what? This is another way. Long practice. You can do it. That's why he mentioned that one can represent things by imitating their shapes. Their shapes. Imitating. I mean what? Following the other. Imitating the other. and colors. Color can also be. He used a red color. He used a black color. It means of what? It is not the individual things. It is imitation. It is also imitation because you react his color or you welcome his color. Anyone can be. Clear? Is it? Another is what others do. So by the use of the voice, what I am doing here. What I am doing here, it is of what? Voice. Okay. It is the voice. Another is what? In arts. I have spoken. In art, I have spoken of the imitation is produced by means of rhythm. So, you have seen that for the imitation, poetic imitation, or the of what? Imitation is produced, spoken imitation is produced by means of what? Means what? Yeah? Vehicle, medium. Okay? First one is of what? Rhythm. Second one is language. And third one is music. Except these three, you can never write or the form any literature or anything else. Why? First one is rhythm. Second one is language. Third one is music. Let us, where we should use it. He says that these being used either separately, I mean there are three media, you can use them separately, individually, or in combination, or somewhere you can use also a combination. For example, lyric poem. What is these things? We see that there is some language. At the same time, we have got some musicality also there. I mean something else there, combination is there. Then thus, the art of the flute or the lyre consists only in music and rhythm. Consists of. The art of the flute and of lyre consists. Lyre or flute, what does it mean that? Bashi. These needs only the music and rhythm. Bashi bajate kon language darkar hoy na. It doesn't need any language. It needs of what? Music and rhythm. এই দুইটা থাকতেই হবে. Otherwise, it means it's a combination of two, not the three. As does any other of the same time, such as the pipes. Pipes just not checking. The imitative medium of dancers is rhythm alone and supported by music. In dance, only one is used. That is what? Music. And now, rhythm alone and supported by music. Music is not needed. Rhythm is needed. Rhythm is needed. If there is rhythm, you can dance. So you have seen that in dance, what is essential? Rhythm. Essential is rhythm. What is not essential? Music and language. It is absolutely unnecessary. That's why it is not mentioned here. For it is by the manner in which they arrange the rhythms of their movements that they represent man's character and feelings and actions. So you have seen that through the dance, through the flute, through the pipes, they represent of what? They represent man's character, feelings, action. Actually, dance and dance and what are very first one is dance. Flute and dance cannot represent anything. Actually, what? Rhythm and music represents of what? Man's character, feelings and actions. I mean these three things were. Okay? Next one. The form of art that uses language alone, whether in prose or verse. And verse either in a mixture of nature. Verse means a word. We know that verse is used in poetry actually. Okay? So, verse. The form of art that uses language alone, whether in prose or verse. So, to write in a literature, you need of what? You need language. And but either in a mixture of meter or in one particular kind has up to present been without a name. For we have no common name that we can apply to the prose mimes of what? Sopran or Janarchus and the Socratic dialogue, or to composition employing iambic, trimeter or elegiac couplets or any other meters of these types. So we can say only that people associate poetry with the meter employed. So poetry is closely connected with what? Meter employed. এই যে আমরা বলি যে ছন্দ লাগবে, what does it mean that? Where? To form the poetry. Okay. So what is essential for poetry? Meter is essential. Employed and speak, for example, the elegiac poets and epic poets. Elegiac poets and epic poets. Last class I mentioned that what is elegiac poetry? I mean elegy. And what is of what? Epic poets. Elegiac means of what? A poem which represents, which expresses the lamentation or deep sorrow of the speaker of a poet very closest to one. I mean when the man is about to die or he is suffering fatal diseases from which he or she may not be what? Overcome, or someone died recently and he is very close to the speaker or the poet. In that time we can express we can write of what? Elegy. On the other hand, epic means of what? A long narrative poems which expresses of what? Grand heroic deeds or qualities. Okay, that is called. Okay, next. They call them poets, however, not for the fact that they are making imitation. They are making imitations, but indiscriminately from the fact that they are writing in meter. Remember that. Why they are called the poet? As they are imitating, not for that. As they are using meter. As they are expressing everything in meter. So, to be a poet, if you imitate something, if you represent your society, you cannot be a good writer. Rather, you need of what? You need what you need? To use meter. Got my point?
Yes.
So, here, language is important, but to form the art, to form the literature, language is important. But to form the poem,
Also needed meter.
you need what? What type of language you need? What type of language? Not the other type of language, only the meter is important. Okay? Then of what? For it is customary to describe as poets even those who produce medical and scientific works in verse. So what is it that? For is customary to describe as poets even those who what? Produce medical and scientific use in verse. So verse is not the important. Important is what? Meter. Verse is not important. What is important? Meter. Why? Here Aristotle mentions that verse can be used, but can be seen in poets' activities as well as works. Similarly, same thing you can see also described the doctor, physician, or the scientist. They can also write their what? Invention through the verse. Whenever they write something else in verse, that cannot be told as a word poems. Why not? Because there is no meter.
There is no meter.
So remember that. According to Aristotle, verse is not the mandatory one. Mandatory is what? Meter.
Meter.
As a lawyer, whenever he speaks something else using verse, you cannot say that he is a poet because there is no meter. Okay? Is there any complexity? Obscurity? Why you are thinking that? Why you are feeling the tension? I have already mentioned that it is the easiest one, easiest subject. Just you attend the class. That's enough. Jubair, what do you think that? Yes, it will be continued. Never and never. It will be difficult. Rather, if you attend more 2 or 3 classes, the next class will be easier and easiest.
So beginning time to complication.
এই যে শুনতে বলছে সক্রেটিক ডায়ালগস
I'm coming there. Yet Homer and what? Yet Homer and Empedocles have nothing in common except their meter. And therefore, while it is taught to call one a poet. So Homer and the other one, they are called the poets. Why? Because they have used meter in their writing, whereas the writers or the philosophers or someone else name are mentioned above, which she has already asked. They used verse, but they didn't use of what? Meter. That's why they didn't call, or they are not called up what? Poet at all.
Poet.
As a result, we have seen that what Plato or Socrates, they are not, their dialogue is not considered as a poet because they use only the verse. They didn't use what?
Meter.
Meter. Now, are you clear?
Yes.
I think you have got your answer. The other should either be called a natural philosopher than a poet. So he what should rather than called a natural philosopher than a poet. Who are the other? Those persons are mentioned above. They are called what? Natural philosopher. They are not the why?
Poet.
Because they use verse at the same time. They give some philosophical terms without meter. That's why they should be considered as a natural philosopher, not the poet. Here, Homer, he has used meter. As a result, he should not be called as a philosopher. He should be called a poet. Okay. In the same way, and another composition, his imitation in a mixture of the meter, as Carimon did the centers, the rhapsody employing just such as a mixture with a would also have to call a poet. What does it mean that if anyone mix up meter in verse, they should also be called a what? Poet. Why?
Poet.
Verse is not the here important. Important is what? Meter.
Meter.
As you have found the meter is there, so he must be considered as a
Poet.
Got my point? So if you think that he has used verse with meter, he should not be considered as a poet. You just don't think it. You think it as there is a meter with verse, so he must be considered as a poet according to Aristotle. Again, there are some arts which make use of all the media I have mentioned, that is rhythm, music, and formal meter. So you have seen that the change. At the very beginning, he used that rhythm, music, and language. Here he has used of what? Rhythm, music, and formal meter. Why formal meter? Because formal meter is a part of the language, but it is exceptional. It is exceptional. That's why he has used. So he has used. Such are dithyrambic and nomic poetry. In the last class, I have already mentioned that dithyrambic and what? Nomic. And you have seen that this is the iambic meter, and this is the elegy, this is the epic, which I have already mentioned. That without knowing it, you cannot understand the first chapter or the few chapters. This is the meter, and this is a dithyrambic. Dithyrambic because of what? Because here the poets expresses their gratitude to what? The Greek god of what? Dionysus. Okay, that's why this poet is called of what? Dithyrambic. And nomic. Nomic means of what? The nom or at the end, at the bottom of the books, it is given. You have seen that. The nom or nomic song was an ancient type of ode, akin to the dithyram, sung to the lyre or flute in honor of some god, usually Apollo. I mean support the song which are sung, which are sacrificed, which are gratitude to what? Greek god Apollo. That is called what? Nomic. So Dionysus, which are sacrificed to, dedicated to Dionysus, that is called what? Dithyrambic. And which is dedicated to Apollo, that is called nomic. Okay. And another, tragedy and comedy, they differ. In the first two use all the media together. I mean, so what? In dithyrambic or nomic poetry, rhythm and music, that can be used together. That can be used together. But meter should be used separately. I mean, what? It has a individual values. Okay, in literature. Finally, we can say that while the lust to use them separately, one after another, and these are when I mean by the differences between the arts of game as far as the media of representation are concerned. So, we can conclude, we can summarize the chapter again. First of all, the name of the first chapter is of what? The medium of poetic imitation. Yeah, medium means of what? Medium means of what? In which way, what things they are going to use to express their feelings, their emotions, their experiences. Okay? This is called of what? Medium. And we have seen that some are presenting, he has mentioned that some are presenting in boys, some are presenting in boys, some are presenting in what? Words, some are presenting through the pictures, some are presenting such a way.
Yes.
These are the different media. And to form the art, you need three media. What are they? Rhythm, music, and language. At the very beginning he has mentioned. Rhythm and music is used in flute, the lyre, okay, to express the feelings. But in rhythm is mandatory or essential for what? In dance.
In dance, rhythm only.
Unsupported by, it is quoted, quote and unquote, unsupported by music. I mean, music is not necessary to express of what? Dance.
Dance.
Whereas you want to express some other things, I mean, you want to form the what? Poetry. In that time, you have to express of what? Language. So in language, in case of language, he said that it can be either prose or what? Verse. But if you write only the verse, it should not be considered as a poem. As a poem.
Yes.
And the person should not be treated as a poet. What is essential?
Meter also.
Meter. I means poetry, the medium of the poetic imitation is of what? Formal meter. Formal meter. As we have seen that he has given some examples. Here, Homer, he has used meter. That's why he is called a poet. Whereas Socrates' dialogue and some others' dialogue or something expression, they are philosophical things that cannot be expressed of what? Considered as a
As a poem.
As poem. Or the writer should not be considered as poet. Got my point? At the same time, he has mentioned that what? The history, the philosophy, the physician, the scientist can also write something else in verse, but that should not be considered as poem. When you can use it. At the same time, later on he also claims that both, I mean support, verse and meter can also combinedly used. Got my point? Okay, thank you so much.